Hello, Math 133 students. I've received a question about this problem, which is 2.2 number 29. If you're in the textbook, either the electronic version of the textbook or the physical textbook. So I'm going to click on question help. I'm going to click view an example because I'm not going to do this specific problem. I'll do an example that's like it. So it says the accompanying table shows the tax in dollars on a pack of cigarettes in 30 randomly selected cities. And so you can click on the icon, and that's available in the problem as well. You can click the icon to view the data table. And I particularly like clicking on this little link over here. If I click on that, I can actually copy it to a clipboard, open in Excel, or open in StatCrunch. StatCrunch is a program that Pearson pays for, and it's a really nice one. The clipboard is nice because then I can just paste it wherever, and Excel is of course lovely because then it will open up Excel for me. So either way you want to do it. So if I click on this and then I click on the downloaded file, then it'll open in Excel. I'm actually going to copy it to the clipboard and then say Control C and then say done. And then I'm going to go to Google Spreadsheet and hit Control V, and there they are, right? All the different costs of the cigarette packs. So this is Google Spreadsheet. It works a lot like 2.2, sorry, 133, 2.2, 29 tutorial. It works a lot like Excel, but it's just in Google, so it's available on any browser. So you don't actually have to have Excel to be able to do this. Or if you want to have it in Excel, yeah, I thought that was going to happen. Sometimes it won't actually paste right away into Excel, and you have to like create a new file and then go from there. So I'm going to create a blank workbook, and then you can paste it into here as well. Either way, so Excel or Google Spreadsheet, they work and walk and talk very similarly to each other. So they'll be basically the same for what we are doing in this problem. So I'm going to do it in Google just because I feel like it. So, but if you want to use Excel, it'll work almost identically. Okay, so there's my data set done. Lovely. So, and then I want to construct a frequency distribution, use a first class having a lower class limit of 0 and a class width of 0.5. Okay, well, the first thing I need to do, whether I'm in Google or Excel, is that I need to sort my data set. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to show Excel first, and then I'll show Google. So you click on this little letter A. So I kind of move my cursor up so that it turns into that arrow. Click on that arrow, and then that highlights the whole column. And then I click on data, and I say I want to sort it from lowest to highest. So I'm going to click on that from lowest to highest, and sure enough, that's what it did. It put it in an order from lowest to highest for me. Now over in the Google Spreadsheet, it's the same thing. I click on column A. It didn't turn into the arrow, but it works the same way. So click on column A, click data, and I want to sort the range, that range that I've got from A to Z, from low to high, in other words. And sure enough, there it goes. So either way, I get my data sorted. All right, now I need to think about my classes. So I have the class width of 0.5, and my lower class limit is 0. So that means that I'm going to start my first class at, so I'm going to put class here and frequency over here. Frequency. There we go. Okay, so I need 0 to be my first one. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's going to be 0.50 over here, but that would not be correct. Class width, by definition, is the distance between lower class or consecutive lower class limits. So if this one's 0.0 or 0, then this one's 0.5. This one would be 1.00. Then this one, oops. Oh, and that brings me to one other thing. I'm actually going to highlight a bunch of classes here, and I'm going to click Format. And let's see here. I want to change them so that they are text. If I click it, oh, there it is. Click number and click plain text. So that way it doesn't switch them to numbers for me. And then I'm just going to go until I need to stop. So this is one of the reasons you sorted it. You need to go as high as 4.39. So this is going to be 2.500. This will be 3.00. This will be 3.500. This will be 4.00. And that should be enough because the next one will be 4.50. And 4.50 is too high because I'm only going to 4.39 for my problem. All right, now if I was going to do this in Excel, it's the same type concept, but the switching to text is different. So I would say class, I would say frequency, right? And I would say 0 point dot, but if I go like this, it's going to do the same problem. So I want to highlight a bunch of cells here, get enough that you can fit your table in. And then I right click and click Format Cells right here. There's a way to do it up here as well. I think it's under, Home. Let's see, click Number. Yeah, there it is. And you say you want text right here, text. Or you can right click, say Format Cells, and say text. It's the same box that's going to show up, and say OK. So now when I type, it thinks it's a text instead of a number. And I would type the same thing, values. All I'm doing is I'm adding that class width of 0.5 in my head. So I'm saying, okay, 2.5 plus 0.5 gets you 3. 3 plus 0.5 gets you 3.5. 3.5 plus 0.5 gets me 4.00. And then 4.5 is actually too high. I don't want 4.5, so I'm going to delete that one out. All right, now that's the lower class limit. Now the upper class limits are the number that's right below 0.50. So that would be 0.49. Technically it's 0.499999, but we don't do all of that. We would just do as many decimal places as they ask for, which it looked like in this particular problem they wanted 2 decimal places. So type integers or decimals, right? So they're assuming 2 decimal places because the width is 0.5. So I'm going to use 0.49. So 0 to 0.49, then 0.5 would be to go to the number right below 1.00, so that's 0.99. Then 1.49. I'm double clicking on these cells to get in here. Then this would be 1.99. And then this would be 2.49. And you just keep going like this. It's the same thing as in Excel. So it would work the exact same way. You just click on the cell. I'm double clicking to get in there. I'm actually kind of putting myself, you could type it up here in this bar up here if you want. So you could say 3.50-3.99, 4.00. Okay, so the next number would have been 4.50 if you recall. That would have been the next number here. We don't really want it, but that's what it would have been. And you can also see there's a pattern, 49.99, 49.99, 49.99, and so on. So this one must be 4.49. Right? That keeps up with the pattern. I'm just going to kind of bold these, and then it's the same as in Excel here. So I would do the same thing up here. So I'm clicking on it, and then I double click to kind of get in there with the text. And then you can mess around with what you want that last number to be. All right, so now we have our classes done, which I think was the first thing they wanted us to type in. But now we've got to get the frequencies. So for this, you're going to kind of use the fact that you've sorted your data set to organize it for yourself. I mean, you could write all this down by hand if you wanted to. It's just so much faster with Excel or a spreadsheet program. It just occurred to me it'd be quicker if I can just show you side by side these two programs. So that's what I'm going to do. So, oop, not that though. I don't need that at all. Okay, so here we are at 0 to 0.49. So you want to kind of go through here and figure out how many would fit in that first class. Now, me personally, I kind of lose track of it after a while, so I kind of like to highlight that. You can't really see it. I just did all that for nothing. So I'm going to click on this little paint box, this little, it's like a paint bucket, and I'm just going to make them yellow or something, just so I know. And I go, yep, that was 4 cells right there. So there's 4 of them right there. And then, and also, by the way, if you want to see the sum or that there's 4 of them, if you see down here on the right, it says sum. That's what those 4 numbers add up to. But I actually want the count. So if I click on count numbers or count in general, it'll tell me 4. And then if I go to 0.5 to 0.99, that's this group right here. And you can see in the bottom corner, it's saying the count is still 9. And I could, make them a different color. I could leave them white, actually. I'll make them green for the heck of it. Right, so there you are. There's 9 of those there. So I'll go here to the frequency and click 9. Then 1.00 to 1.49, that's these ones right here. So I'm going to make those yellow again. So right here, 1.00 to 1.4948 is just shy of 49, and 51 is too big. So that's a count of 5. You can see it down there, and you can also just count the number of rows. And you just keep continuing in that manner. So there's 4 of them right there, right? And it said 4 in the bottom corner. And then 2.00 to 2.49, right? So 2.55 is too big, right? So that's 3. And then 2.50 to 2.99 would be these 2. I don't even need to highlight anymore. This is getting ridiculous, right? And then 3.00 to 3.49 is those 2. And you'll notice there's nothing in the 3.50 to 3.99 range. So you just give it a 0. There's nothing there. And then there's only 1 in the last group. So there you have it. Easy peasy. There, I just made it a little bit easier for you to see. So you're just highlighting and counting. You don't have to make them different colors. That's just for your own, benefit. And then Excel does the same thing. So you would just do the same thing here. So I'd highlight the first 4, and you see down here, Excel automatically gives you a bunch of different things. So the count is what you're interested in, which is 4. And if you want to highlight them as well, you click on the home ribbon. There's the paint bucket if you want to make them colored for your own self. Actually, I'm going to make this whole sheet a little bit larger just so you can see it better. There we go. All right, and then 0.5 to 0.99, same deal, right? Oh, 0.5 to 0.99. There's a whole bunch of them there. So that was 9 of them. That was the biggest one we had. So, and again, if you want to change the paint color bucket, just click on the paint, click on this little arrow next to the paint bucket, and you can color it whatever you like. And so then there's 9, and you would just continue in the same manner, right? You're going to get the same numbers that we got on the other one, and so on. All right, I'm going to pause right here, and I'm going to fill this out, and I'll be right back. And we're done. I'm going to highlight these 2 cells up here and hit Control B just to make them bold. All right, so now I've got my table, and that's all they wanted for part A. All they want is a frequency table. So let's see if what I came up with matches what they come up with. So you can see 4954, yep, it's exactly what they did. So then they want a relative frequency distribution, but it's the same classes. So same classes, same width. So it's the same numbers over on the left, but you're going to need the relative frequencies on the right. But see, the beautiful thing about doing this in Excel is that we can make Excel kind of do some of the work for us, or Google Spreadsheet, either one. Okay, so what I want to do is I first want to find the sum of all my frequencies. So I just clicked sum, and then there it is. So I'm going to make a little note to myself. So I'm going to Control B so it's bold and say, hey, there's my sum. Right? There's 30 of them, which they said in the problem anyway. So if you wanted to not do this, you don't have to. So I hit Control B to make it bold, and I say equals sum, and then I just highlighted those cells. Right? Another way to do it is to use the Autosum feature in Excel, or let's see, in Excel it's over on the right. So if I delete this real quick, so if I go over here, click Home, it's right over here on the far right of the home screen. See Autosum, and it kind of just knows what you want to do, and you click on that and it just adds them up for you. Something similar to that is available in Google Spreadsheet as well, but it's over on the right as well. So if I'm over here in the cell and I'm below that frequency list, it's over here on the right, and I say sum, and then it says what do you want to take the sum of, and then I just highlight those. So it's not quite as intuitive, at least that particular one. All right, so now I want the relative frequency. So I want to find the decimals for each one of these. So what I want to do is I want to take equals, because I want to create an equation, and I want it to take this number 4, but I want it to divide it by that sum of 30, right? And I click enter, and there you have it. And if a couple things. If I grab the bottom right corner, you see how the cursor turns into a little plus sign? That's called the handle. So if I hold down my left mouse button and I just drag it down the cell, it'll find all the numbers for me. Now grant you, I'll have to round these because it only wants 2 decimal places. Now if you want to be really sneaky about it, you can actually type that in. You can actually type round, parentheses, and then say, find me this number, but round it, comma, 2 decimal places, and enter. And then it will. And then if I click on that and drag it down again, then it finds me all my numbers. I'll show you it worked, right? See 0.30, 0.17, 0.13, it's all the same stuff. And you can do the same thing in Excel. So if I go over here, relative frequency, and you can use the same commands. So you'd say equals round, parentheses, and I want for that cell, D2, you want it to have a cell reference, divided by, and the number was 30, and then comma, tell it to round it to 2 digits, enter, and then it will. And then I click on the cell again, and I move my cursor to the bottom right corner. See how it turns into that plus sign? That's what you want to see, that little plus sign. And then you hold down your left mouse button and drag down the column, lift up, and away you go. And again, you don't have to use the round feature, the round command, but it's kind of nice because it makes everything automatic. Oops, except I didn't mean to do whatever I just did. Okay, so back to the problem. We found the relative frequencies. Great. Constructing a frequency histogram, this is more about a matching question. So you're going to try to look and see which of the histograms they give you matches the numbers they give you. So it'll be like an ABC option. So you'll just pick the one that matches the graph, and same with the relative frequency. So if you have those two parts right, then those are going to be easy. And as for shape, don't forget, uniform is when they're all about equal. Skewed right means that there's a tail over to the right. Skewed left means there's a tail over to the left. And symmetric means there's kind of like a big lump in the middle and equal tails on either side. Let's see. Then they want you to repeat the whole thing, because they're jerks, but with a class width of 1. Well, I'm not going to do that per se. Just suffice to say that it's basically the same thing we just did. You just have to do it all over again. So you'd make classes here, but your classes are actually a little bit easier. It'd be 0 to 0.99, 1.00 to 1.99, right? Because the class width of 1 is between the lower class limit of 0 and the next lower class limit of 1. And then you'd have to retabulate. As a matter of fact, you can actually just use the frequencies here. So I know for that first class, it'd be 4 and 9 together, which would be 13. That would be the frequency. And then the next class, which should be 1.00 to 1.99, that would be these two together. So that would be 9, and so on. So you're going to have far less classes for the next one, but it would work the same way. And you're done at 4.99 because your highest value was 4 point something or other. So, and then the 3s are still 2, and then the 2.001s, there's 5 of them there for me. And there you go. And then as for relative frequency, you would do the exact same thing. So you'd find the sum. Oh wait, you already know what it is, but nevertheless, if you type this equals sum, you can check whether what you just did for typing in those frequencies was correct. And sure enough, it was. So the relative frequency, I don't feel like typing the whole thing, would be equal round, parentheses, this cell, which is I2, divided by 30, comma 2. And then you click on that cell, you move your cursor to the bottom right corner, you drag it down, and then release your left mouse button, and there you have it. So there it goes. And then you do the same thing in Google Spreadsheet if you so desired, whichever program you like to use. All right, I hope that helps. That should be the end of that one. Yep, because all they're having you do is do it all over again. And then they just want you to kind of compare the frequency distributions and make a judgment call of which one you think does a better job of showing the spread of the data. So that's a decision, a question you can think about.